Coffee and Convo. Wake your ass up. Yo, shout out to everybody already here in the building. Carlos, Manuel, Johnny, Q, I see you, my brother. 207's in the building. Digital Prezi, just got done playing your masterpiece. Shout out to my nephew. Bobby Hayden, what's good, man? Shout out to everybody already in the building. This is the latest installment of Coffee and Convo. I'm your host, Graphk Raider. Also, shout out to everybody on Twitter watching the show. If you want to get your comments in, jump over to YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 20K at some point this season, man. So make sure you hit that sub button. And also, wipe them feet, meaning hit them thumbs up. You already know what time it is, Raider Jim. I see people put names in the comment section. I love it. Look, you guys, we know the trade deadline is right around the corner. There's a lot of momentum with a lot of players out there. There's a lot of calls being made in the NFL right now. We're hearing the rumors left and right, the Clees and the William Jacksons and all this other stuff. We definitely want to break this stuff down. Also, I want to break down some stats from this team thus far in 2022. It's crazy. Shout out to my boy Sean Johnson, man. My boy, he sent me some fire in my DM. I definitely got to read this to you guys. It's crazy to see that these superstars on this roster, the numbers they're putting up, and we're 1-4. It's crazy, man. When is this team going to start caring about us as much as we care about them? I want to ask you guys that in the comments section. When is this team going to start caring about us as much as we care about them? It's craziness, man. Shout out to my boy Brave, man. My boy Rick's in the building. Yes. 1970 Jackson. Hey, we will talk about William Jackson. I'm gonna let everybody pull in first before I break it down. You already know what time it is. Docs, what do you think about hey, you see the thumbnail, my brother? He's on there. He is on there. That's definitely a name that we need to speak about because moving forward, we do need a defensive tackle that can actually put some pressure on the quarterback. I think this defensive line has been getting better and better as the years progressing, but we still need somebody in the middle to be able to get to the quarterback here and there. You know what I mean? So Duron Payne is definitely a name we're going to speak about. Shout out to my dog, Max, man. I got heated last night, bro. Waller we're going to break this down too. And I think this is why he's on this thumbnail, you guys. Look, I know a lot of people are going to say Darren Waller, once again, is just supporting this girl, right? I get it. Shout out to her. I believe her name is, Plum, plays for the Las Vegas Aces. She was brought in by the San Diego Padres yesterday to throw the first pitch at their playoff game against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And once again, Darren Waller was there right by her side. After dealing with the hamstring, missing the entire second half of the game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Me personally, I know a lot of people are going to think, oh, here we go. Everybody's over here overreacting to this. But I'm looking at this from a standpoint of if you can walk out there, with your girl, you should be walking around that headquarters, working your hamstring out. You know what I mean? Like at this point moving forward, it's like, come on, man. Like you should be in that building figuring out your injury and not at a San Diego Padres game with your girl. But hey, it is what it is. Waller was at the Padres game last night with his girl. His hamstring was good enough to go to San Diego, but not good enough to play. Kansas City. I have to say this, Max. There is two different things about that, right? It's a totally different situation playing football. And, I even jumped the gun a little bit and then walking on a baseball field. I just feel like this, man. We already have this bad taste in our mouth from Darren Waller already going out there and missing a preseason game with his brothers to go sit on the sideline of an Aces game, right? So I just feel like I think this guy is like love drunk right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Overcoming all the stuff that he's overcame, his addictions and all that other stuff. I think the dude is love drunk right now at this point, man. I really do. And I just think that he's just out of sorts right now. Like he's just into other things more than football right now. I think that was blatant. You can see that on the sidelines when he had his hoodie on looking like he didn't want to be there. Shout out to my boy, Max. Why can't he just enjoy life? He got paid. Mondo, the thing is this, brother. Yes, enjoy your life. He just got paid. But at this point, can you prove that you're worth that? Mondo, I don't know about you, right? But I'm one of them people. I'm not one of those guys where if I have a job, right, and I go and I get a raise, I'm just going to get comfortable. That's not who I am. It's not who I am. I'm thinking about how I can get that next raise. So I'm going to continue to work harder and harder and harder and harder and harder in order to get to the top of the company. He's looking like a guy to me that just got that raise and just like, I don't like that. Mondo, there's nothing wrong with him being able to enjoy his life. I love it. If he's happy, that's great. But I'm talking about in terms of football. It's just too many times where you see him out here running around, supporting other things, but looks very, very disinterested in what we got going on. Shout out to Alexander. People were calling me crazy when I said wait to extend Waller or trade him and extend Jacobs since last season. Waller doesn't seem interested. Facts. Shout out to Alexander. Look, man, I'm just calling it how I see it, you guys. I'm just calling it how I see it. But hey, season's early. Hopefully, that hammy is good enough to go next week at Allegiant Stadium against the Texans, because once again, we're in another situation where it's a must-win game. And to be honest with you, all these games moving forward are must-win games. Let me see. Hit you, Docs. His motivation seems gone. Sucks because he's talented. Talented is an understatement, man. Like, this dude is a physical specimen, and he said all the right things in the offseason. Feed me, exhaust me in the red zone. Exhaust me. He said everything right. And then he got the money and turned into like Kenny Golladay. He looked like an all-pro tight end early on in his career. Dealt with some injuries up and down last year, missed some games. Got paid this year and turned into Kenny Golladay. Take it as you want. It is what it is. A report is stating that we are linked to the Broncos tight end, the guy with the long last name. Rick, I don't know what report that is, brother, but I'll tell you this. The Donkeys are not going to do anything to help our cause. So I would not look at that report. I look at that with a grain of salt, man. It is what it is. Let me see. Waller is injured. How can we trade him? Watts, I'm not even going to read the rest of your shit. All I'm going to say is this. Darren Waller. Darren Waller. I don't even need to read the rest of the shit. What do you mean, how can we trade him? There's always going to be a team out there that's going to say, that's a superstar. He'll be different for us. He'll be different for us. This happens year in and year out with baseball, football, basketball. Watts, come on, brother. You know this. You watch sports year in and year out, just like I do. Doesn't matter if he's dealing with a hamstring injury. Somebody's going to say, that's Darren Waller, all-pro, top 5 tight end in the league. He'll be different with us. This happens year in and year out. Let me see. If you were the GM, what trade would you make right now that could put this team over the top? Well, there's a few things that we can look at, and let's get into it, you guys. I would definitely reach out to the Commanders. I would definitely reach out to the Chicago Bears, and I would definitely reach out to the Carolina Panthers. There's a few teams out there, you guys, that are probably going to just say, you know what, it is what it is. Chicago they're not going to get over the hump this year. Their young quarterback is running for his life, has no time to throw the ball. They need to build up that O-line. They need to get a lot more in Chicago. So we can look at them and say, Roquan Smith. We can reach out to them and say, what do you want for Robert Quinn? An up there in age defensive lineman that we could potentially get, I'm not going to say for crumbs because that's not going to happen. I mean, the guy's coming off of 20 sacks or some shit last year, like 17. I forgot what it was, an astronomical number. Maybe you reach out to Chicago and look, that's two needs on the defensive side of the ball: linebacker, defensive line. You can reach out to Carolina. There's rumors right now that Brian Burns is on the trade block. It looks as though Carolina, once they, fired Matt Rule, they're going to start this thing over. Brian Burns, in his young career, is already a Pro Bowl guy. What doesn't he have, like 4 to 6 sacks already this year, I believe? A fire defensive end. I know we got Chandler Jones. I know we paid him a lot of money. I don't know the ins and outs of that contract, if you can somehow, some way get out of that at the end of this year. Because could you imagine having Brian Burns on this roster with Max Crosby moving forward? You have your two bookend defensive ends. I know we got Malcolm Kuntz, but I'm sorry, you guys. I love Malcolm Kuntz, but he is not a Brian Burns. Just reach out to him. See what it is that they would want for Brian Burns. Why not? I mean, it's not going to hurt. You have two star defensive ends moving forward, young guys that you can build with. I just don't know what it is they're going to want. They're going to want a lot of draft capital for Brian Burns if they're going to literally just burn it down. You know what I mean? They're going to try and get rid of Christian McCaffrey. There's a lot of different guys over there in Carolina where they're just going to say, you know what, we're done. We're done moving forward. But that's a guy. Keep an eye on Tennessee. Harold Landry is out for the season, you guys. I believe he tore his ACL. That's a team that needs a defensive end right now. I would not be shocked if they reached out to Carolina and said, you know what, we need Brian Burns. What do you want for this? The Commanders. Duron Payne. He's on the last year of his contract, you guys. They are very deep at the defensive tackle position. They always are. It seems like the Commanders have all the defensive tackles in the world on that one roster. Reach out to him. Just say, look, he's on his last year of his deal. What can we do in order to get him? You know what I mean? And William Jackson. It's a scheme fit, you guys. I mean, it's a scheme thing with the Commanders. I'm gonna read this real quick. Shout out to NFL.com. He signed a 3-year, $42 million contract during the 2021 offseason. It was front loaded, you guys. So the Commanders have already paid almost half of that deal already. So we wouldn't inherit a huge contract moving forward. He would count just $3.8 million against his new team salary cap. He has a $5 million base overall this season, but 6 weeks of it are already accounted for. The reason why he wants to get out of Washington, he considers himself more of a man-to-man corner. They run a lot of zone there. I know when the Commanders went and got him, they thought they had a true lockdown corner. They paid him lockdown money. But it hasn't worked that way thus far. Shout out to NFL.com. I'm definitely reaching out and seeing what we can do with that. Because at the end of the day, all these guys that we have right now on this roster outside of Nate Hobbs, we've said this a million times. Rock Ya-Sin, 1-year deal. Anthony Averett, 1-year deal. And, now that Trayvon Mullen moved on, he was still on a 1-year deal. The only corner that we have worth really keeping an eye on right now moving forward is Nate Hobbs. And, he's on a rookie contract. We need some stability in case we move on from Rock Ya-Sin. If he gets paid a big amount of money somewhere else, or if Anthony Averett moves on after he comes off the IR, maybe has a big year for us, we need somebody under contract. That's why, in next year's draft, I want a couple corners. I want to get a couple corners moving forward. Shout out to G-Town. Salute, Docs. I would trade him to a team like Washington for Duron Payne Plus, they need weapons. Shout out to G-Town. We're talking about that right now, my brother. Shout out to you. Shout out to Howland. Good morning. Just got my teas. Love your show, brother. Raiders. And I'm putting a bunch of new stuff on Oaklosvegas.com today, Howland. So stay tuned for that. I'll be in New York next week. So I'm actually dropping a specialized Subway Oaklosvegas shirt. So stay tuned for that. The link is in the bio up top if you guys want to check out the merch. Shout out to you, Howland, as always. Appreciate you, my brother. Been hearing rumors on the Bears pass rusher, Robert Quinn. He had a good year last year. Shit, Tommy, he had a great year. What was it, 17 sacks, 19 sacks? It was somewhere around that 17 to 20 range. Crazy. The thing is, he's what, 31, 32 years old? He's up there in age, but he's still looking really good. The thing with Robert Quinn that scares me, though, you guys, is, we go out and trade for Robert Quinn, and then we have another 30-plus-year-old guy like Chandler Jones on the roster, and we just don't know what happens. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if we're going to do this, if we're going to build this thing for the future, right? And mind you, I want to win now. I want to win right now. But Duron Payne, I believe he's 24, 25 years old. Brian Burns, still really young. William Jackson's not that old. You know what I mean? He's been in the league for a while. But, these are the kind of guys, the Roquan Smiths of the world. These guys are really young. They're really young. I don't want to trade for another 30-plus-year-old pass rusher. We already went out and got Chandler Jones in the offseason. I just don't want to do it again. I don't want to do it again. So, yes, that is a name to keep an eye on if Chicago is willing to depart from him for a little bit of nothing, which they probably won't. But still a name to keep an eye on. Shout out to Wilder, man. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for becoming a member of the channel. It means a lot to me, King. Appreciate you. Appreciate you so much. Welcome to the membership family. You guys, why is everybody freaking out in the comment section? I'm not going out and saying trade Renfro, trade Devonte Adams. The trade deadline is right around the corner, and we're 1-4. There's maybe 4 or 5 players on this roster that are untouchable. Everybody else can go. I don't really understand where we are right now. I see everybody, folks, calm down. You're tripping. You or Graphk, you're doing this. What? We're 1-4. Devonte Adams, untouchable. Josh Jacobs at this point. I mean, look, untouchable. You know what I'm saying? Renfro just signed a new deal. You know what I mean? I still believe in the young guy. You know what I mean? I know a lot of other people saying, maybe he was figured out or this or that. Untouchable. Max Crosby, untouchable. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain players at this point moving forward that's untouchable. The others, not so much. So what's the problem? What's the issue? The trade deadline is right around the corner, you guys. We got to talk about the trades. We got to talk about it. Zeke needs to get off his hands. 1970, I got to say this. Oh, yeah, Hobbs is definitely untouchable. That's facts, Kane Town and Ty. Facts. Nate Hobbs is untouchable. Zeke has done everything he could do 1970 to get this team to where it should be in year one under this new regime. Everything. With the limited draft capital, went out and got Dylan Parham in the 3rd round. He's going to be a gem for us moving forward. He's already looking like a veteran out there. I love where this O-line is headed right now, you guys. I know a lot of people are like, oh, my God, the O-line is getting better. They're getting stronger. I like what Zeke has done. I actually like what Zeke has done. I love what Zeke has done so far. You went out and got Mumford in the 7th, which can potentially be that right tackle of the future. He could be. Not saying he is, but he could be. Zeus, we're being really patient with him right now because Josh is just cooking shit. But Zeus is a big part of this team's future. Let's not act like Zeus wasn't a big piece of why we didn't pick up Josh Jacobs' 5th-year option. I think Zeke has done everything that he could. And there's still some players that we have not seen yet moving forward, like my boy, Sincere McCormick, a UDFA, that I think is going to be a dog moving forward. So I can't say he has to get off his hands. I think that he's been living with his hands up here. I don't think he's sitting on him at all. Dox is Waller untouchable. He's not. He's not, Primos, because last year he dropped a lot of passes. He dealt with some injuries where a lot of us questioned if he was really injured. And I don't know if we were actually questioning Darren Waller. I think at the time we were more questioning his alliance with Clutch Sports because we know how they work and how they operate. You know, it's funny that, you know, you come back after this injury you're dealing with, right? And then right when you come back, you have COVID and you miss another game. I feel like there's too much mind games going on in terms of, you know, one thing, this is what I think with Waller. I think he's sold on the mental health aspect of his life. I think he's sold on the music aspect of his life. I think he's in really, really head over heels in love with his girlfriend at this point. I just don't think he's in love with football the way he is with all the other aspects of his life. Am I wrong for feeling like that? Why would I be wrong for feeling like that? Sometimes, man, when you get sober, and I've been around a lot of people in my life that's done that, they realize that other aspects of their life aren't really as important as they thought it was. You know what's funny? At one point, I quit drinking alcohol for about 1.5 years, right? I didn't look at music the way I looked at music anymore. I didn't look at music like I needed it like I was when I was a youth. I didn't look at it the same way. I looked at the gym as the new headline of my life. That was the headliner outside of my family, was the gym. When you get sober, man, you look at different things and say, man, do I really need this? Maybe Waller's looking at football too, like, okay, I can use this, you know, this is how I get paid. This is how, you know, how I'm moving around. But at the end of the day, maybe he's going to take that money and create a mental health space for other people, you know, that deal with the things that he's dealt with. Maybe he's going to build a rehab facility. I don't know what Waller has in his future, but I'm just saying right now, maybe football is a trigger for him. You know what I mean? Waller sees all the stuff that everybody says online, you guys. And I'm not going to say, I hate when I see people say Waller is a drug addict. He's back on drugs. No, he's not. That man looks happy as hell off of the football field. He looks happy as hell, man. When he uploads music on Instagram, he's excited. When he's with his girl on a sideline or at a San Diego Padres game throwing out the first pitch, he looks ecstatic. He just don't look like that on the football field anymore. So, you know, and if he isn't sold on football anymore, I have to say this as a Raiders fan. Shame on you to take that kind of money and run with it if you're not going to be sold on what we're doing here. But as a businessman, makes all the sense in the world. Run it up, Waller. It is what it is. Waller don't owe this new regime anything, you guys. He doesn't. You know, he owes, you know, if anything, Gruden and Greg Olsen for going and snatching him off the practice squad from the Baltimore Ravens. You know what I mean? He doesn't owe Zeke anything. He doesn't owe Josh McDaniels anything. So it is what it is. What are your thoughts on the Tim Brown tweets? I loved them. I loved him, Jose, my favorite player of all time. You know, he's right. For those who don't know, Tim Brown left a lot of, you know, kind of motivational tweets saying the Raiders are not done yet. You know what I mean? That we can go on a run and blah, 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 you know, in a nutshell. And I definitely believe everything that Tim Brown said. He knows this team. He knows this game. But until then, Jose, I just have to keep saying this. We're 1-4. You know what I mean? We're 1-4. Shout out to my brother Downs, man. Dox, I think Waller is robbing us. He looked disinterested and unhappy. Question me, and you have been rough on Josh Jacobs. Do we re-sign him? Have I been rough on Josh Jacobs, or have I been rough on the idea of paying a running back big-time money? Let me ask you that, Downs. In a league where running back is not that is an expendable position, right? In a league where our new regime went out and got 3 running backs in one draft. Zeus in the 4th, Britton Brown in the 7th, Sincere McCormick is a UDFA. I don't think I'm being hard on Josh Jacobs. Did he have a down year last year? Yes. Have I got on him about being injured all the time in the past? Yes. But I've never said one thing that wasn't real about Josh Jacobs. Not once. I have to say this, Downs. If he can stay healthy this whole season, look, you guys, I'm enamored by what Josh Jacobs is doing right now, just like you guys are. But understand this. The season is early. Pump the brakes. Knocking on wood. Hoping that he can stay healthy this full season, but he still has to prove that to us, Mike Downs. So if he can prove he can stay healthy all season long, definitely bring him back. But if you can't, got to keep pushing. Shout out to Juan. Waller owes the fans. The fans have supported him. It's effed up. Shout out to Juan. Appreciate you, my brother. And look, man, I don't know, man. I don't know where Waller's head is right now. I don't. I really don't. I would have never imagined that we would be 1-4. Shaking my head. Jose, it sucks, my brother. It sucks, bro. I wake up every day with that shit on my head, bro. It's terrible, dog. Foster plays with more heart than Waller. Foster has dealt with some injuries, this season as well, you guys. You know what I mean? So I want to see a healthy Foster. I know he's dealing with that knee injury right now. Hopefully he comes back and he's ready to go against the Texans. We're going to need him. I think we're going to need everybody on deck at this point. You know what I mean? To even beat a reeling team like the Texans. But I'll say this. I'm not going to say he's playing with more heart than Waller. I'm going to say that I feel like Foster's head is more in the game than Waller. You can see that. Foster's catching everything that's going his way right now. Waller's dropping passes left and right. So if you mean that, Mondo, I definitely agree with you, my brother. I think that Foster's head is just more in the game right now than Waller. Let me read this to you guys real quick. I want to read this. Shout out to Sean real fast. Does this look like a 1-4 team, you guys? I want to ask you guys this. I got you, Van City. Just give me a second, brother. Or put it up one more time. Put it up one more time and I got you. I don't know if you guys can read this. I know it's kind of number one. Okay, this says the Las Vegas Raiders stats, and we're 1-4. Stats show that we are not a 1-4 team. Shout out to my brother Sean Johnson. Derek Carr, 13th in passing yards in the NFL. So somewhere in the middle range, DC is throwing the ball like crazy. I think we're the number 8th offense in the league right now. Devonte Adams, 8th in receiving yards in the NFL. Devonte Adams, 2nd in TDs in the NFL. Josh Jacobs, 3rd in rushing yards in the NFL. Max Crosby tied for 1st with sacks, 6 sacks in the NFL. Divine Diablo, 9th in tackles in the NFL. Daniel Carlson, 1st in kicking in the NFL. AJ Cole, 3rd in punting in the NFL. Amir Abdullah, 35th in returning NFL. I don't really care about that stat. Raiders are 14th in team passing yards in the NFL. Raiders are 13th in rushing team yards in the NFL. 10th in total team yards in the NFL. 15th in receiving yards in the NFL. 12th in downs in the NFL. 13th in total. 13th in yards allowed in the NFL. 24th in turnovers. 8th in defensive passing yards. 8th in defensive rushing yards. 10th in defensive downs. 15th in returning in the NFL. 3rd in kicking. 3rd in punting. So basically what I just read to you guys right now, this shows, yes, we are a few plays away from winning all those games. It all boils down to execution. It all boils down to the small plays that you can make in order to flip that L into a W. Mental errors, mental mistakes. It's little shit that we need to fix. You can look at all those stats that I just put up on there. Shout to my brother Sean once again. And it tells you it looks like a different team when you're reading that. That's crazy. That's a 1-4 team, you guys, that we just read that off of. That's insane. Shout out to my brother Sean Johnson once again. Wipe them feet, y'all. Hit them thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please hit that subscribe button. I'm a recovered alcoholic / addict. I will celebrate 6 years, November 19th. Shout out to my boy Van City. God willing. When I first got sober and clean, I got a lot of what was truly important to me back. Maybe while I was going through that. Facts, bro. Shout out to Van City. Prayers to you, King. And shout out to you, man, on your 6 years of sobriety, my brother. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I'm excited for you, King. Continue that journey. Shout out to Primo. Sanjit brought it up. We had the ball to win the game in all 4 losses. Just couldn't get the job done. The NFL is a game of inches. Pause. Primos, you know I love the pause, bro. So you should have knew better, King. But you're right. Sanjit is right. Shout out to my brother Sanjit. Facts. It definitely is. Raider Tony, brother, I'm not going to blame the refs for shit anymore, man. like we're the Raiders. We've dealt with this shit forever. In every year of our existence, we've dealt with the refs being against us. You know what I mean? We're always playing against insert team and the refs. Used to it. Yes, a few of those calls were bullshit. The hold on Max, the Malcolm Kuntz hold. Yes, there were definitely a few mind-blowing calls that went against us. Definitely. But I'm not even gonna. We do this week in and week out, year in and year out. The refs are always against us. Get Roger Goodell the hell out of here, man. How about that? Whatever you got over there in Washington, the Commanders, whatever y'all got, whatever information y'all got, drop that shit, bro. Drop it. Shout out to my brother Daniel Kim. Salute, Docs. Running around getting stuff for my son's birthday party and listening to the convo. We need to play each week as 1-0. Week, get locked in. Or week 1-0 this week, get locked in. Facts, my brother. Facts. Factory, my brother. Factory. Watts, to me, that definitely was a flag on Teamer. Shout out to my brother LV, man. My brother, man, I've missed you these past few times. I went out to Vegas, brother. You got to pull up on me, man. You got to pull up on me, brother. Us fans definitely need this bye week, too. This is facts, Graham. Facts. Facts, brother. Facts. Yeah, that horse collar on the sidelines, Watts, definitely. But how are you feeling, you guys? I mentioned a few names. Cornerback, William Jackson with the Commanders. He's looking for, a better scheme fit for him. You know, they run a lot of zone over there. The guy is trying to, get to a defense that plays a little more man. You know, I mean, he thinks he can be more of a shutdown corner in more of a man system. What do you guys think about William Jackson, bringing him in from the Commanders? They're already fielding calls. Apparently, there's a lot of calls already out there. What would you give up for William Jackson? And mind you, guys, he did have a big contract, but the Commanders had pretty much paid half of that already. It was a very front-loaded contract. Yes, we have Rock Ya-Sin. Yes, we have a bunch of other guys, but like I said before, you guys, most of these corners are on one-year deals. If you bring in William Jackson, you got a few more years out of him. It works. It works. I just don't know what it would entail, to give up for him. Maybe the Commanders are just ready to just move on from him and save whatever money they can. Duron Payne. I'm calling them right now and saying, it's the last year of his deal. Will you guys take a third? Will you take a third round pick for Duron Payne right now? Why not? Or, even though I like Klee, and I know there's a lot of rumors around the Detroit Lions right now, I believe ESPN kind of threw something into the atmosphere about us potentially speaking to Detroit about a Klee for a Farrell deal. I wouldn't trade Klee Farrell, but what if the Commanders said last year of his deal, even swap, and we'll give them like a later round pick? Would you guys give up Klee in like a 5th rounder for Duron Payne? Klee in a 5th rounder for Duron Payne. Would you guys do that right now? Give me a Y in the comment section or a no for no. Me personally, if we're going to move on from Cleveland Farrell right now, I'm definitely reaching out to them and saying, hey, we got Clee in the 5th. Why not? They're both on the last year of the deals. Why not? Raider Jim says, yes. We the people, absolutely. 1970, yes. Knock Andrew, yes. Sean Johnson, my brother, yes. I love it. Why haven't we signed Sue? He would help a lot. Jose, we can say that, right? Why haven't we signed Sue? Why hasn't anybody signed Sue? It all boils down to the money, man. And to be honest, this defensive line has been getting better. They've been playing the run well. Do you really go out and pay big-time money for a 36-year-old, 35, 36-year-old with Sue at this point? Me personally, I'm reaching out to the Commanders and trying to get a 24, 25-year-old in Duron Payne. And his new contract is probably not going to be insane like that. I'm not against going out and getting Sue. But the money just doesn't match up in terms of what he wants and what we're trying to put out there. Same thing with Cleveland. You know, I guess Cleveland didn't put enough money out there for him. Sue saying no. I guess the Minnesota Vikings, same shit. Primos, I did not see your super, my brother. My apologies, King. I thought I read it already. I did not see it. But I'll read this. People come to the Raiders to get the bag, and once they get it, they disappear. Only a few live up to the bag, like Mad Max and Adams. You know why, though, Primos? This is the problem. You pay football players. And what I mean by that is you pay players that are known to go out there and give everything. We pay these guys in the past for their namesake. You know what I mean? And for maybe a one big year of productivity. Devonte Adams is the best wide receiver in the league. He's not going to change that when he gets his bag. You know what I mean? Hunter Renfrow is a dog. He's a dog, bro. Like, I don't care. Like, at his size, for him to go out there and put his life on the line every week, the routes that he displays week in and week out, it's different. Max Crosby, you can see it from the first snap when we drafted him, that this guy's motor was different. You got to pay football players. Stop paying people for namesake. Stop paying people for 1 year or 2 years of productivity. I think Renfrow earned that bag by going out there last year and putting his body on the line week in and week out and putting up over 1,000 yards, having 110 catches or some crazy shit. You pay those players. You pay Max Crosby, the guy that is the first person in the building and the last person out. Gruden used to say every time he got to headquarters, he would see that orange Lamborghini out there all the time. That lets you know that Max Crosby earned every penny because he's going to put his body on the line week in and week out. So pay the players that show you they want to play football. Don't pay the players for namesake in a year or two of productivity. That's how I feel about that. I doubt we do anything before the trade deadline. 1970. I hear you, brother, and I damn near want to agree with you, but there's a lot of pressure in Las Vegas right now. With the roster that we assembled in the offseason, I don't think that you can go through a trade deadline without moving something. There has to be something, even if it's a small move. You have to show your owner that you're still trying to fix this thing. And if it's a move for like a Duron Payne or even something, it could be someone, it could be a depth piece on the defensive line. I don't know. I feel like Zeig and Josh McDaniels have to show this ownership team that we're still trying to fix this thing. We're still trying to figure it out. I think if you go through this trade deadline, and I'm not saying make an astronomical move, something that's like, oh my God, like a desperation move where you go out there and offer a fucking first or second round pick for Duron Payne. That's desperation. That shows that you probably don't know what the fuck you're doing. But if you go out there and make a smart move, a smart football move for someone that potentially can help this team moving forward, you do it because you want to show this member, you want to show this ownership team that, you know, I feel if you don't make a move, even if we trade somebody for some draft capital, I feel like if we don't, I feel like that's kind of arrogant. I feel like it's low-key arrogance. 1-4. And maybe not even make a trade, but play the phones. If you're not on those phones, making calls left and right and just saying, okay, nothing worked out for us, nothing panned out how we wanted to work out, cool. I'm cool with that. I'm down with going through the trade deadline and not making a move. But if we're moving those phones, if we're calling every team in the NFL behind closed doors and saying, is this person available? Is this person available? What is it going to take in order to get this person? I'm cool with that. If nothing transpires, at least I know that Zeke was playing those phones like crazy, trying to figure out how to better this team. That's it. Shout out to Raider for Life. Let me see. Shout out to everybody here in the building, man. Wipe them feet. Hit them thumbs up. There's a few names we're talking about, you guys. William Jackson, cornerback. Commanders, Duron Payne, defensive tackle. The Commanders. Brian Burns. There was a report put out there, you guys, from, I believe, a beat writer for the Carolina Panthers that stated that it's almost guaranteed that Brian Burns will be moved before the trade deadline. I don't know how real that is, but they're saying it's like a foregone conclusion at this point that they're going to move on from their star defensive end. And like I said before, I think Tennessee reaches out. I think that Zeke and Josh McDaniels are not just going to take the whole Chandler Jones move on the chin and move on and go get Brian Burns. I don't think it's going to happen, you guys. I'm going to be real. I think you give Chandler Jones the year. He has been getting a lot better against the run. He's been putting pressure on quarterbacks. Just the sacks aren't piling up. You know what I mean? So I don't think that this regime is ready to quit on Chandler Jones. Because if you go get Brian Burns, you're basically saying we were wrong. We were wrong about Chandler Jones. But that is a name to keep an eye on. He may be moving on. Cam Akers, the Rams running back. He's pretty much shit the bed thus far since coming out of Florida State. I thought he was going to be one of the best running backs in that draft. He has not lived up to the hype at all. It sounds as though they're keeping him out as a healthy scratch this weekend. They're trying to get rid of him. Who's to say that we're done? We're not done with Brandon Bolden. Who's to say we're not ready to move on from him and take a flyer on a young running back? I know we have Zeus. So me personally, I don't think it really makes any sense to go even reach out for a Cam Akers at all, actually. But we know that Josh McDaniels loves his running backs. So if he's not, who's to say he's like, you know what, Brandon Bolden, he doesn't have it anymore. You know what I'm saying? And maybe, just maybe he's saying Zeus ain't ready this year. Maybe you go late round pick for Cam Akers. I don't know. But me personally, I want it. I don't think it makes any sense at all. But we do know that Josh McDaniels loves his running backs. I agree with you, Walt. I think that a running back makes no sense at all. Shout out to Wilder. Max Crosby is now my top Raider next to Bo. I heard there was a rumor Diablo swung on Kelsey after the game. Is it true? I've had a lot of people reach out to me. Shout out to my brother Mikey as well. He sent me a text and was like, bro, did you hear about that? I heard about it, but I don't think that rumor is true at all. I don't think so. At this point, I wish it was true. I mean, shit, while Devonte Adams is pushing a motherfucking reporter that was clear cut in his way and in his face and looked like a money grab, at this point, I wish Diablo would have fired on Kelsey. I don't like Kelsey, man. I don't like him. It's his fucking face. It's just like, it's so punchable, especially when he cuts his beard off and he does the whole country shit. It's just punchable as hell to me. Like, I feel like I want to just get off on this shit. Because I already know after that game, Kelsey was probably running his mouth like crazy. I got 4 TDs on you, motherfucker. Ooh. I wish Diablo would have kicked that man in his dick. Real talk. Fuck it. Shout out to Juan. When players get fined, where does the money go? Right back into the owners in the NFL's pockets. That's exactly where it goes, Juan. That's where it goes. They basically get their money back. That as sad as it is, my brother, that's what it is. Johnny says, did you see that Kelsey was saying Merrick was trash after he scored that TD? I'll say this, Johnny, as a Raider, it hurts my soul. But if you put up 4 TDs on a motherfucker, you definitely call him trash. But Merrick has to hold his head high, knowing that he helped hold Travis Kelce to 25 yards in the passing game. In the red zone, totally different. But outside of the red zone, Merrick looked like an all-pro against him. In the red zone, shit, motherfucker look like Nevin Lawson. So, hey, but yeah, man. Shout out to everybody here in the chat. True, if I score 4 touchdowns on someone, yeah, you trash my guy. Facts, bro. And Merrick is my dog. Like, I love Trayvon Merrick. That's my guy. That's my guy. You know what I mean? But 4 of them things, not 1 of them things, not 2 of them things, not 3 of them things, 4 of them things. That's disrespectful at that point. Let me see. While Waller was in a hoodie. Facts, Watts. Facts, brother. No, I'm going to eat it in a minute. No. I'll eat that too. But that's half a sandwich. Chiefs are a bunch of bitches. Orlando, I can agree with you on that. Kelsey's too heavy for a DB in the red zone. Heard Dan Snyder has dirt on all the NFL owners. I wonder what kind of dirt he has on Mark Davis. I don't think he has any on Mark Davis. I think any of the dirt that was on Mark Davis already came out internally. You know, with the whole, losing the VP and all that other shit. President, like, I think all that shit is already out there. I don't think that there's really anything that Mark Davis is hiding from the NFL. I can actually confidently say that. I think that Mark Davis is one of them people that kind of is transparent. You know, the guy that kicks it at Hooters and kicks it at, these restaurants and rides around in minivans and shit. Like, he is who he is. So I don't really think that Mark is hiding anything. And you got to realize this too, that Mark is still kind of fresh at this whole ownership thing. You know what I mean? So I don't really think that I don't think that he has anything on us. John Gruden, I mean, shit, that was clear as day. I just hope that the Commanders, there's a few teams that I hope that Snyder has dirt on, doggy. I hope the Patriots have to vacate all of their rings because they got some shit on them. I hope that Jerry Jones got so much dirt that when I walk around the Dallas area, no one has a star on their clothing moving forward. I hope there is so much dirt in Santa Clara that I never have to hear the word 49ers again. I hope there is so much dirt on the Great American Niners that they're forced to move to like buttfuck Kentucky. That's what I feel like. Oh, he's the first one, Walt. He's the first one. You know that. He's the first dude on the way out. I'm gonna be honest, bro. To be real, I thought the same shit. Because right now, he is the most powerful owner in the NFL. Right now. Great America 49ers. Factory. That's just real shit. But yeah, man, trade deadline coming up. Before we get out of here, you guys, let me get some comments in the comment section, okay? Who is your number one? If we make any trades before the deadline, who is your number one trade deadline target? Leave it in the comment section right now. Let me know. Before we get out of here, we're coming up on an hour right now. Let me know who is your number one target. If you're the GM, if you're Zeke, who are you calling? Who are you calling for right now? William Jackson, Duron Payne, easy. James Payne. Okay. All right. Payne. Okay. Hawk came in and said Brown. Carolina, defensive tackle. I'm here for that. Can we go get Roquan Smith? I'm gonna be honest, truth teller. If anybody was if that was realistic, if we can get Roquan Smith, if that was a realistic trade, I know Champ Kelly has connections to Chicago. That would be my number one. To have a star linebacker on this team, that would be my clear-cut number one. I can live with the defensive tackle room at this point if we can go out and go get a Roquan Smith. That's my number one. Would love to have Duron Payne. That's number two, clear-cut number two for me at this point. Because Brian Burns isn't going to happen. We know that with Chandler Jones on this roster. Derrick Brown is definitely I can't believe we didn't talk about him. We talked about him on the last live. But Derrick Brown, defensive tackle, Carolina, another interesting name. We the people. That's why I don't think it's realistic, because he's going to cost a pretty penny. This is facts. And if you go get a Roquan Smith, at that point you have to cut ties with one of those contracts on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe Waller. Let me ask you guys that. If you could get Roquan Smith for Darren Waller, would you do it? Not saying that Chicago would take a 30-year-old, 29, 30-year-old tight end over a 25, 26-year-old Roquan Smith, but would you do it? Robert Quinn down there? Okay. Yes. I love it. We on the same page today, y'all. Nation, we are definitely on the same page, because I agree 110% in a heartbeat. If Chicago said, we would love to have Darren Waller, match him up with our young quarterback and give him a real receiving option outside of Mooney, all these other guys that they had. I would love it. I would take Roquan Smith in a heartbeat. Then you re-sign Foster Moreau for the low, and you pay Roquan Smith. There you go. Third and Waller for Jonathan Allen. A third and Waller for Jonathan Allen if it was realistic. For those who don't know, Jonathan Allen, Commanders, another defensive tackle. I don't think that is realistic. I think they're going to keep Jonathan Allen, but Duron Payne on that last year of his deal. You take Waller out of that equation, Junior, and I give them a third for Duron Payne right now. Definitely. Damn, on the way out, Q said, just found out that Dikembe Mutombo has a brain tumor. Damn, man. Prayers go out to Dikembe Mutombo, man. I got a funny story with him. That man tried to pop at my wife in Publix in Atlanta. So I walked up to him like, no. Nah, I wasn't even there. I wasn't there, right? It was just you. Oh, I was in a car in the parking lot. There you go. Shout out to Dikembe Mutombo, man. Prayers for you, King. Hope you get better, man. For real. Trade for Matt Ioannidis. He's also on the Panthers. There we go, man. Shout out to everybody rocking in the building, man. I'm gonna finish my breakfast, take my family out, take my kids out for a little bit of fun today. I'll see y'all a little later, man. You already know what time it is. Wipe them feet on the way out. You know I love y'all to death. I'm outro. One.